Tragic day today. Myself, as a member of the RCMP and an emergency services worker, we devote our lives to protect people. Today we lost someone that was assisting in the Slave Lake operation. At approximately 3 p.m. today, emergency workers, including fire, RCMP, and EMS, responded to a location at Boat Shore Drive in the community of Canyon Creek. They were responding to a report of a downed helicopter. Emergency workers responded to the scene and located a helicopter situated approximately 30 meters offshore in shallow water of Slave Lake. The depth of that water was approximately 4 feet. Members of the fire operation immediately extricated one male pilot from the helicopter. The male was declared deceased at the scene. RCMP has secured the scene and have notified Transportation Safety Board of Canada. The name of the lone pilot is not being released at this time, pending notification of kin. During the rescue attempts, a number of emergency workers who went into the water received hypothermia, which they are currently being treated. Thank you.
When this tragic accident occurred today, we had emergency crews out there working, attempting to extinguish fires near property out near Canyon Creek. They were very quick to get on scene. We immediately dispatched another 4 engines to support that team, and rescue efforts began underway. With the arrival of the members on one engine that were part of the Calgary Aquatic Specialists, they were able to effect a rescue that they had quite familiarity with. They went out in this water, and where the first crews had in fact pulled the pilot to shore and attempted to resuscitate, the secondary crews attempted to find what they were hoping or anticipating to be a second passenger on board. There was no second passenger. They did not know that at the time, but they made every, quite frankly, heroic effort to attempt to save, if in fact there was one. The crews found themselves, as you heard, in 4 feet of water, but that water was extremely cold, and a lot of extensive efforts were attempted to get that person, had they been there, out of the water. Now, as you can imagine, when there was a little bit of devastation to the fuselage when it crashed, and the crews were using extrication equipment that they had on their apparatus out there to attempt to open the cockpit to actually get in to find any possible secondary victim. My hat goes off to the crews who attempted to save the pilot and secondary rescues, and it's very unfortunate for the member and the family of this person who was flying the helicopter to attack this fire that has caused so much tragedy here already. Thank you.
Just have a very brief statement. There's about 1,000 people on this effort here today, so it's a very sad day. So our hearts and our condolences go out to the family. From the government's perspective, we're launching an internal review. Sustainable Resources, on behalf of the government, will be doing an internal review, and we expect the Transportation Safety Board to be on site sometime tomorrow, at which point they'll take over their portion of this operation. So again, sad day for everyone, and we continue to fight on. Fire away for questions if you have now, and we'll just divert it to the most appropriate person.
Sorry, what was the pilot doing, please?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Pardon me, Janet Dirk, CTV National News. What was the pilot doing?
Fighting a fire.
But can you give us more specifics?
That's all we can tell you at this point. Tomorrow, the Transportation Safety Board might have more detail for you tomorrow.
Do we have any idea what caused the chopper to go down?
Too soon to tell.
What kind of chopper was it?
Sorry?
What kind of helicopter was it?
Bell 212. You've seen the releases, I'm assuming. There's a couple of releases out. It's on contract to a company from British Columbia.
How long were the crews, rescue crews in the water there, trying to get them out, and sort of what were they doing
You might be able to tell us about sort of the ins and outs of that.
Yes, the initial rescue crews were there, and they were in the water for some time trying to struggle with getting access to the fuselage. And they were in the water, and they actually were exposed. They got hypothermia, mild hypothermia, but needed to be treated. The secondary crews were in actually a little longer. Yet they were trying very desperately to get inside to see if in fact there was any more victims inside that helicopter. They were treated for mild hypothermia at our medical center when we were able to get them back to safety.
How are people doing over at the Operations Command Center?
How are people doing at the Operations Command Center? Well, let me tell you, this has been a very tragic event for the people of this community. It's been very hard on them. The call went out for help. People came from all across this province to help, and yeah, you know what? Everyone's tired, but I can tell you, incredible efforts being put forth to improve the situation that's being put forward.
How many of your workers are down with hypothermia?
Oh, our workers are not down with hypothermia. They were exposed. They are hypothermic conditions. They've all been treated now, and they're released. And
How many?
There was 12 firefighters that were in the water for some time trying to effect a rescue.
Can you tell us anything about the weather conditions at the time? What the weather was like?
I can't tell you what the weather. I'm not sure what it was at the time.
What was the pilot's mission that
can happen during a firefight like this? I know you guys know the risk, but this does highlight, especially for the public, the dangers associated with fighting fires in this way.
I mentioned the other day that the challenges we're faced with here, and this is why we have brought so many resources to bear, is it's not just fighting the fires that are around the city, the town of Slave Lake, and the MD. It's also about providing rescue services, emergency services, while those efforts are being undertaken to restore some normalcy here for water supply, for fighting fires, to restore it so that we can actually get people back into their homes, but at the same time providing emergency services for this unfortunate type of event.
What mission was the pilot on when he went down? What was his assignment?
I can not speak at all to what the pilot was or wasn't doing. I'm here representing the emergency services.
Does any of you three gentlemen, can you tell us what the pilot's mission was when he was going?
Fighting a fire is all the detail we can give you at this point. Sorry.
Okay.
How close were the rescue crews? Did they see this happen? It sounds like they got there quite quick.
I don't know the details exactly. Let's face it, this incident only happened a few hours ago. I don't know what they witnessed or didn't witness. I do know they were working in the vicinity, and that they were quick to respond to it. And the support team that came as a secondary response were also very quick to respond. And I think certainly from an emergency response perspective, all possible chances were exhausted.
People have been working very hard, long hours, a very daunting job. How is this affecting the other emergency crews? How are people feeling right now to know that there's now been a loss of someone working at this scene?
Well, as stated, this is a very tragic event, and yeah, it does have an impact. It has an impact on everybody here, not just the emergency workers, but everybody who's involved in putting this community back together. The last thing anybody would want is another tragic event like they've gone through, and this is very unfortunate. But I can tell you this is a resilient community, and they continue to be strong and put forth the effort that's needed.
Sir, do you have any statistics? When was the last time that we had an incident like this involved in our forest firefighting season?
I'm sorry, I don't have that handy now. Tomorrow, we can provide those answers for you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. We're going to head back to the command post and continue on with this operation. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll have more information for you tomorrow.